The achievement gap is really an educational gap in terms of performance of our educators themselves. We need to look honestly at vouchers. We need to open up the discussion. The problem that we face is that those people who are supposed to represent us, an organization such as the NAACP, is on the verge of becoming a civil rights relic.
Well, you know, I want to talk. You said the NAACP is in bed with the teachers' union, and you don't mean that in a good way. I'm assuming.
Not in this the case. What they've produced, the offspring, is an achievement gap that is colossal and continues to grow. Even in some of the states where education seems to be working for white children, it's not working for black children. The places where it works is when children have access to choice. And in cities such as New York, choice is becoming the order of the day. That needs to be the choice, the order of the day throughout the country. At some point or another, the NAACP has to remember that its mission is to give voice to the voiceless, and the most voiceless are the children.
Ms. Perry, Reverend, I'm going to bring you in here. Don't worry, but and to respond to this next question. But first, I want to ask Mr. Perry this: what do you mean becoming a relic? Because we've talked about the relevance of the NAACP, and I put that question out there last weekend, I believe, and someone said, "How can you say the NAACP might not be relevant?" And I said, "There's a difference between relevance and still needed." You say it's becoming a relic. Why? Do you not believe it's reaching the right people, or what?
Michael Jordan is relevant to the history of basketball, but LeBron James is the chosen one. What we need to look at is what is relevant now. When we talk to our children, what our children, the kids in my school in Hartford, Connecticut, not in New York, in Hartford, Connecticut, talk about, they see the NAACP as the Image Awards. They see the NAACP as the Freedom Fund dinners, which are corporate sponsored.
All right, so it's just sort of a headline or a marquee and there's nothing behind it, empty.
From the Niagara movement to Hollywood, that's not what this is supposed to be about.
Reverend Sharpton, go for it.
Well, I think that, first of all, I would agree that the civil rights issue of today is education. If you don't have equal access to the same education, you cannot produce the equality that is the goal in society. And I think the president is right in identifying that, and that's why some across party lines and racial lines, as he has said in that speech, have come together. I think, though, that the NAACP and other civil rights groups cannot be aligned with those that would make them not address that. But at the same time, there are social issues that have to be addressed around the educational experience. Those same young people still have the right to employment in a fair way. They have the right not to be harassed by police. And I think groups like the NAACP and others still have to fight those fights.
But do you think
well, I know that there's a tremendous amount of progress. Let's be honest. If white folks didn't want a black president, there wouldn't be a black president. It was the butt of every joke up to now. And we have to understand and give credit where credit is due. There's still racism, and the biggest racism the black community is challenged with is the internal racism that we have towards one another. The circumstances that exist in our communities where, in many cases, where there are quite a number of black people, where the majority of the community is black, we run those communities. We are the borough presidents. We are the principals and preachers and teachers.
Steve, I really have to go for time purposes here, but again, I wrote about that last time, Black in America, on AC360's blog, about racism in our own community. Reverend, just 5 seconds. I'll give you the last word here.
I mean, all of us know Dr. King helped to change the country, but the question is now we have to continue that change. And if what King did is to be validated in our time, we have to close the achievement gap in education and in the criminal justice system. We can't just end with King. We must continue what King fought for.
Steve Perry and Reverend Al Sharpton. Hey, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. It's good to see you, Reverend. You look much more rested than when I saw you last week. So
thank you.
Congratulations. I'm glad you got some sleep finally.